Today I talk about Locodoco, fencing, and how to get noticed. Welcome to Mind Games TV, episode 45. So thank you for joining me again today. We had a little mini vacation. I think yesterday with episode 44, I came back after 3 or 4 weeks off. I was working on a new project. It's esportcoaching.net, and I was pitching it. So I needed to figure out what I was going to be doing, why exactly I would need investment, and what the scale of the company might be. But it was a really interesting experience. I learned a lot of stuff. I got a lot of feedback. It was one of those little local, businessy type things, and I just kind of had fun with it and saw how far I could take it, which was a really delightful experience. And I found this room, which I think is pretty cool. It's quiet. There's interesting background. Maybe somebody cool walked by, like a famous person in Finland. You wouldn't know who they are because they're famous in Finland, but that'd be cool. All right, so let me get into the show.
Lorenzo asks, how can I start coaching or at least exercising my coaching skills? I did watch your video about coaching philosophy, and I have started working on mine. Also, how can I make myself visible to challenger or even professional teams? I wouldn't mind being a trainee or an assistant of some sort.
Okay, Lorenzo, this is a really good question because you took the first step. You've got your coaching philosophy. You're kind of figuring that out. The way that you start exercising your coaching skills, of course, is by coaching. So you have to find volunteer subjects for your coaching prowess, whether that means that you go down to the local YMCA and you volunteer as a youth coach for 12-year-old girls indoor soccer, or whether you go onto the Runeterra Ravens group where there's a bunch of gold and silver level teams looking for coaching and working together, whatever it is, you got to find subjects, and it's best to look for team settings. So think team sports. And the nice thing about traditional sports is that it has permeated down to this local level, so you can find in your community plenty of opportunity to coach team sports in any sport. It doesn't matter what sport you choose, because you're going to be practicing coaching people, not coaching the sport. And of course, hopefully you'll be working with somebody who can take you through the basics of what drills to run and blah, blah, blah. I do recommend 13-year-old teenage girls because it's about the same as coaching a professional League of Legends team. Sorry, all of my clients. I just had to say it. That was the funniest. Yeah. Anyway, I'm probably going to get fired now, but it was worth it. All right. So anyway, bonus question. How do you make yourself visible to challenger, even pro teams? I think it's all about selling yourself. I think first you got to be good. So if you're not good, don't even worry about it. And if you've convinced yourself that you're good enough, that's the first step. So you have something to give to people. You've proven to yourself that you're valuable. So then you sell yourself. What is it that you're using to bring value to people, and can you show it to other people that you can solve their problem? So look at a situation and say, what is a pain that I can take away from that person? What is a pain that I can reduce? What is something that they're wasting their time on, or that they're being annoyed by, or that they're being frustrated with, that I can have immediate results in reducing? And then you do that, and people will appreciate you for it. Now, one of the best places to do this is to go onto social media and socialize. I know a lot of people use social media for marketing themselves and for spamming people, but you can socialize on it, and you want to pay attention to the people you want to get noticed by. Make a short list of who they are, build a list for them on Twitter, set up notifications for when they talk, go read what they're talking about, and look for pain that you can put a salve on. Look for something when they ask for something, or when they're needing something, or when they complain about something. Make note of it and then solve the problem for them. Okay? You do that for enough people, and you have a business.
Anonymous asks, how can I stick to a certain strategy in the heat of the moment? I often have a strategy, but have trouble being patient and waiting for the right time.
Okay, this is a very interesting question, not the least of which because it comes from a sport that is very, fast-paced, and where a single mistake can, millimeters of a mistake, very similar to League of Legends. So like with football, you can make a couple millimeter mistake every while, and it doesn't matter at all. Okay, it's measured by inches, or maybe even yards. But with fencing and with League of Legends, you have millimeters of difference can result in winning or losing. And CS Go is even smaller. So sticking to a certain strategy in the heat of the moment is really important, because one small mistake can snowball into a complete loss. So I often have a strategy, but I have trouble being patient or waiting for the right time. This to me is about poise. It's about the idea that you are essentially thinking of the future or thinking of the past, and you're not in present with yourself enough that you can put off temporary discomfort in pursuit of a larger strategy. So a lot of times the reason we aren't patient is because we want the joy now. We want right now to win. We want right now to strike. We want right now to react. We want to give into our emotions. We want to do all these things. All of these things are quite natural and joyful, and they please us. It's only later that we regret them. And I think that you'll notice that if you keep forcing yourself to be patient over and over again, to the point where you are being punished for it. So the other thing that we have is fear that the opportunity is not going to come again, or that we're going to be punished before the opportunity arises, that we're never going to get to that patient point of the strategy. The strategy is too complex. Okay, so in the heat of the moment, you have to be able to step a little bit back from the line. And I think that the best example I heard of this is from a Navy SEAL who was a leader in Fallujah. And they asked him, what's the difference between you and the other Navy SEALs? Why were you the leader? And he said, I don't think it was anything that I had as far as a talent, but rather, there would be the people who were, we would all be in the moment, holding a position. And then I would step back, and I would lift my head up, and I would look, and I would make a decision based on the macro level, and then I was the leader. And anybody could have done that. Anybody could have taken a step back and looked at the macro level and kind of but when you're in it, when you're really in it, you have trouble kind of making those decisions, okay, seeing everything for the pattern that's building. And so you really have to develop the mental ability to take a step back from the situation and get out of the heat of the moment. And that is trainable. The more that you force yourself to do that, the more often you're going to be able to do it, and the more often you can just choose to do it. And as always, I recommend meditation as the kind of catch-all training skill that allows you to step back from your body, essentially, and become aware of what you're doing and why you're doing it. So that is my answer. Meditate.
Isaac asks, what do you think Locodoco is thinking right now? After putting all that effort into a team, what's it like to be put on the back burner?
Okay, Isaac, thanks for asking the question everybody is wondering about. So I'd love to talk to Locodoco and find out, but I can't. So I'm just going to have to surmise that I think that he has been put into a mental state of relief. You notice that a lot of times when professional players or coaches retire or lose at the World Championships or whatever, they talk about how relaxing it is to have all of the stress off their shoulders. When you're the head coach of a team that millions of dollars are resting on their result or not result, and tons of people's jobs, that's a lot of pressure. And when that lifts, it can be so relaxing. Okay, so essentially, Locodoco got to the point where he himself believed he was incompetent. And I don't mean incompetent as in the way that we insult people with it. Incompetent. I mean the opposite of competent. So people are motivated when they feel competent at something. When I have a high level of competence and I think, hey, this is awesome, I'm going to be able to do this, and I'm motivated to do it. And when you have low times, it's from a lack of competence. So incompetent. So you feel like I'm not up to this task, and therefore I'm not motivated to do it. In fact, I'm scared of it. And I think Loco kind of stepped himself back, and he said, like, in his I think his retiring interview, not his retiring interview, in his stepping back interview, he said it even. He said, I don't have the skill set to deal with with these problems, which I don't think is true. I think that he was developing the skill set. I just think that he needed some theoretical background and some techniques for self-reflection to allow him to grow much more rapidly than he was growing. But I think that he has the fundamental stuff you need to handle those situations, or at least everything that I saw on the reality TV show they produced proved to me that he had really good instincts for that. So I think that he'll be back. I think that he's not on the back burner. I think that he's taking the pressure off himself so that he can focus on his own development, and I think that's probably pretty smart. That's what we have for today. That's the show. So I hope that you enjoy the new location, and I want to end today with a quote. But first, I want to talk about the Esport Coaching Network. Come join us on November 15th, http://esportcoaching.net. It is the Esport Coaching Network. My team, my 20-person team, that of people that are powered completely on hype for you guys. We're not making money off of this, very unfortunately, but we are striving to bring you like the best live training events for coaches. We've already conducted one in June. We're conducting our second one in 2 weeks. You have to get your ticket before November 1st in order to get the early bird discount. After that time, hit me up on Twitter or Instagram, and I will send you a copy of the coupon to get that $10 off again, or 10 euros off again. But just get it before the expiration date on November 1st, and that'll be the best option. But we're going to cover a bunch of topics, and we're going to talk about how to gain confidence as a coach, how to coach other people, how to plan your mesocycle training, how to bring value to people so you don't feel like you don't have a place on the team, deal with these kind of things. So I think it's going to be our best conference yet. Out of the 2 conferences, this will be the best one. So that's not a very hard bar to reach, but we're striving for, as high as we can go. And we're going to talk about the 3rd conference already. We're going to do one of these every basically 3 months. And of course, if you buy the full membership plus ticket, which is really cheap, you'll notice it's just about exactly the same price. Then you can get really discounted tickets to future conferences. And we're going to be doing lots of live training within the network. Once again, this is for coaches and managers. So players, people who are focused completely on playing, like, you won't get as much value out of this because we're going to be dealing with coaching players. We're not going to be dealing with like game strategy and stuff like that. But it's worth it. I mean, it's worth a shot. If this is something that you really value and you think you'll learn something here, of course, I'm not going to stop you. But this is really primarily directed at coaches. So check that out, and I will see you guys later. Here's the quote. Concentrate all your thoughts upon the work at hand. The sun's rays do not burn until brought to a focus. Alexander Graham Bell.